I want to start with a little baseball here. I know that we're in the midst of a lockout and every move is frozen except for the Mets and their managerial search. And then you look at the list of names that came out yesterday, the guys that the Mets are going to be interviewing. Maybe they're interviewing one right now. Heck, hey, you think they're listening to me as they're actually interviewing one of these managers? Hire Buck, forget whoever's in there, hire Buck. You look at the list of names. While there are some intriguing names, Osmus, whatever, a former catcher, I like that idea. A guy with some big league experience, clearly familiar with Billy Epler, who hired him in Anaheim before he had to, let him go because the owner didn't want him there anymore. Joe Espada, familiar with the Yankees, bench coach with the Astros, had some, success, obviously, with being a part of the Yankees and the Stros. And you look at Quatraro, is that even how you say his name? Matt Quatraro from Tampa Bay, who's the bench coach, and I get everybody from Tampa Bay. You get somebody from that organization, it's appealing because they have success. However, look at those names, or listen to me rattle them off. Joe Espada, Matt Quatraro, Don Kelly, whoever the hell that is, Brad Ausmus, and Buck Showalter. Doesn't take a genius to figure out which one stands out. I mean, you should know where the Mets need to go with this. And this is a perfect opportunity for years as fans. We've been begging for the Mets and Yankees. Really, the Yankees fired Girardi, and then they hired Aaron Boone. Yankee fans, even though I think Boone's done a nice job, Yankee fans want a typical manager. They don't want a data applicator. Well, the Mets, who haven't had any success in recent years, after Terry Collins, who was their last real manager, hired Mickey Callaway. I can't even call him a data applicator. I don't even know what the hell he was. And he had obviously other issues going on, Mickey Callaway did. But they hire Mickey Callaway, hire Beltran, who, it would have been fun to see what Beltran could have done. Obviously, we don't get to see that. And then they have to bring in Luis Rojas, who seemed like he might one day be a manager, but clearly wasn't ready to be a manager. And you saw him learning on the job, something Steve Cohen has talked about he doesn't want to have done. I don't want guys learning on my dime. Well, the Mets now find themselves in a great spot. A move that could excite the fan base. A move that could make the team better immediately. The organization better immediately. If they just go hire the right guy. Now, I understand. I'm not saying you can't interview anybody. You have to go through the interview process and see what they're saying and figure out what you'd want to do here, which guy you like the best. But ultimately, there's no way anybody's resume will compare to what Buck Showalter did. Plus, if you're thinking ahead, really just think big picture, how it could come full circle. And Buck has, you talk about unfinished business, he has that, in particular in New York. He's a guy who's never gotten a team to the World Series before. I don't think that's because of him. I think that's just circumstance. It's a lot of luck involved. I know sports fans don't want to hear that, but that's the reality. Luck is involved in these things. However, Buck Showalter building up team after team. He's a program builder. What he did with the Yanks, what he did with the Diamondbacks, what he did with the Rangers, what he did with the Orioles. That's not, to me, is the equivalent of Bill Parcells, obviously without the championships. Anywhere Parcells went, you knew that team was going to become a good football team eventually. Well, that's what it is with Buck Showalter. And now, for him, this will be the best spot he's ever taken over. Usually he's got to build a team up. Now he'd be taking over a team with great talent that he can build up and make them professional, organized, structure, professionals. Hold guys accountable. Teach them the right way to be a professional. Play the game the right way. Act the right way. Not be little babies like the Mets were last year. Oh, the Mets are in first place. Look at us now. We're in first place. Yeah, but you guys just got to be, no, we're in first place still. No, but you don't look very good. No, but we're first place. No, you're immature. You don't even you don't hold yourself accountable. You have no idea what's going on. They were a bunch of babies. Rat and raccoon nonsense, choking each other out, thumbs down, this, that, the other thing. Instead of early on in the year, when things were going wrong with the Mets, their all reliable was, well, we're in first place. But the reality is, the standings didn't mean anything then, clearly. Anybody who watching would say, something's off here. And the Mets themselves should have said, look, I know record-wise we're in first place or standings-wise we're in first place, but we're not where we need to be as a team. Nobody said that. Not once did anybody say that. Not the manager, none of the players. The only time the Mets were held accountable last year at all was when Zach Scott, former general manager, Zach Scott, went out there and said, I don't think we're good enough. I'm paraphrasing. I forget exactly what he said, but he held those guys accountable. Until then, it was all, wow, no, the media is wrong. No, the media and the fans are wrong. They're saying we're not as good as we are, but look at us. Here we are in first place. We're great. We're good. Everything's grand. No, that's not the reality. They wanted to believe the standings, and they were lacking maturity. They were lacking professionalism. It's no coincidence that the Mets have gone out there and brought in professional players now. Escobar, Canna, Marte, obviously Max Scherzer, who goes beyond professional. I mean, guy's a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. But they tried to make that clubhouse better. And it's not just the personalities, it's about the attitude, the professionalism, bringing in some older guys who know how to act accordingly. Well, they were also lacking in that area with the manager. There was no one to turn to. There was no leader. And Buck Showalter is that. He is the leader of men in that clubhouse. Not that he's got to treat these guys, like they're college kids. He will treat them like professionals. He will also get them to act like professionals. Oh, and by the way, you're worried about being an in-game tactician? Something that Billy Eppleder has mentioned twice when talking about who's the, what type of qualities he looks for in a manager. He talked about in-game tactician. 2 times he mentioned that. My ears perked up because I went immediately to Buck. He's there. Obviously, he'd be interested in the job. We're so close to the point where the Mets are interested. In years past, it would be, oh, go get Girardi, or oh, go hire Buck, or oh, go hire Backman, whoever, throw out there, whatever real manager you wanted the Mets to hire. And for years, it wasn't realistic. We would talk about it. Fans would call and talk about it, but it was never realistic. And I think in large part because of, who was running the team. Alderson, even Brody Van Wagenen, trying to, follow the rest of baseball as far as going younger and, innovative and go with the guy who's going to apply the data instead of a real manager. And I never thought we'd see the day again that the Mets actually hired a real manager because Alderson came back as team president. However, if Alderson is true to his word and Billy Eppleder is going to be making these decisions, obviously it's got to get approved by Sandy and then, of course, Steve Cohen. But the idea that Buck is even on this list shows me that the Mets are headed in the right direction, and there is a realistic chance that they actually do, for once, the right thing. Hire the best guy for the job. Not who you think might pan out, not somebody who might apply that data for you and eventually could learn the game. Hire the best manager. And he could be another face of the franchise, like the good old days when Bobby Valentine was a manager or Joe Torre with the Yankees, where those guys were big personalities that you look to. The Mets could get back to that. Other teams have done it. Dusty Baker, Tony La Russa, other teams have done it and have had some success. Now is the perfect opportunity for the Mets to hire one of the great managers that the game has ever had in Buck Showalter. It's the perfect time. I wouldn't be saying this if it were a different team, rebuilding, maybe a little bit younger, maybe years away. Right now, and especially after what we've seen from Callaway and Luis Rojas, especially with that, this is it. It's all coming together. Starting to come together. Give him the heater, Ricky. This is all coming together. They went out there, they got the big free agents. They're building a team. Buck won't be the final piece, but he'll be one of the bigger pieces. And then maybe he could say, okay, this is what we need. I look at this roster. This is what I kind of think you need here to win, whether it's a lefty bat off the bench, a corner outfielder, a third, whatever it may be. Bullpen arms. He can help. You can't tell me that Buck Showalter would not make any organization better. And you also can't tell me that Quatraro, Espada, Osmus, Don Kelly, that those guys would be better for the organization or for the managerial job specifically than Buck Showalter. There's no way. It's an impossibility. Buck's got unfinished business. It's a team with an owner that wants to win. He has shown that with his words and with his checkbook. I mean, or cash. Hell, I don't know. He's got billions. It's possible he did. What is it? Let's see. Hold on. What do we got? 41 million? Hold on. 1, 2. Yep. There you go, Max. Cash monies. Who knows what going? But they have the richest owner in the sport. He's gone out there and spent and backed up his words. This is not a spot to be messing around here and go with the trial period. And if they hire Joe Espada, who might one day be a good manager, if they hire Joe Espada, the questions will be, well, how is he going to be? We don't know. Nobody knows because he's never done it before as far as being an in-game manager. How's he going to handle the media? How's he going to make his moves? How's he going to handle that clubhouse? These could all be question marks. With Buck Showalter, you will eliminate the question marks. He's the best guy for the job by far. He's available. He's getting interviewed, reportedly going to be interviewed by the team. Get it done. And really, I'm not going to rain on the Mets offseason because it's been a tremendous offseason. You get Max Scherzer where nobody thought that Max Scherzer would realistically come to the Mets. You get Max Scherzer and pair him with Jacob deGrom. You go out there and actually get a center fielder. You go get solid players with Escobar and Canna. They're building a team, so you can't knock that. And even if they don't hire Buck, eventually I'd come around and be like, all right, well, let's see what we have here. I still think the team could be okay. However, it would be an extreme disappointment at this point if Buck Showalter is not the guy. And I'm not sure how anybody can see it otherwise because it's not even close when you look at it. You know, I've had people on the overnight call, oh, what do you want Buck for? He never won a World Series. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. So because he never won a World Series means he's never going to win one? Oh, and because if somebody did win a World Series, that means he's going to win another one? Yeah, because that happens all the time, right? If anything, I think he's due. Law of averages. Been close enough. It's time he breaks through. And this is the perfect spot. You can see it from a mile away. You can see it. Hire Buck, please. I'm begging you. Mark is calling from Belmore. What's up, Mark?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, you make some good points for Buck Showalter, but I still would go with Matt Quatraro.
Why?
Very simple. The sport has kind of passed these older managers.
What are you talking about? La Russa and Dusty Baker had great seasons last year.
Quatraro's been with Cash to the World Series.
First of all, Cash has made some of the most asinine decisions I've ever seen in my life as a manager.
What team had the Rays not been very good for the last 4 years?
So what? What have they won? What are you talking about? So Quattaro's been his bench coach. What does that mean? You're going based off of Kevin Cash. You don't even know what Quattaro is as a manager. You think he's better than Buck Showalter?
I think in today's game he will be. Yes, absolutely.
Based on what? Based on what? Your thought? What you think? I'm going on what we know. Buck has been a manager. Has Quattaro?
Yes, he has actually in the minor leagues.
No. I'm talking about in the big leagues. I'm talking about in the big leagues.
He's been a bench coach for the last 4 years.
Has he been a manager? Is my mic on? Mark, has he been a manager at the big league level?
No, but he's been a bench coach, which is more than the last two managers have ever been.
You compare him more to the last two managers? I mean, I got a better resume than the last two managers. Come on now.
I know, I agree with you, but he's more in touch with today's game than I think Showalter is.
Oh, my God, Mark, you could not be more wrong. You could not be more wrong.
Buck Showalter's 66 years old.
So what?
The game is past him. It's
have La Russa and Dusty Baker. What do you mean the game is past him? It's baseball. The game is past him. Well, what does that mean? The game is. What do you think? You got to be young and inexperienced to know the game now and apply that data?
Yes. That's the way the sport's gone, hasn't it?
No, it hasn't. No, not with everybody. No, it's not. And thanks for the call. Could not disagree more. And that's exactly the call that I'm talking about. What are you guys kidding me here? Quattaro? Nobody's ever heard of the guy before. Oh, he's the Rays bench coach. What does that mean? Forget the Rays. This is New York City. Steve Cohen's got billions. The Rays would kill to be in the Mets spot, not the other way around. I know the Rays have had sustained success, and they've been a nice little team with their 90 wins. Where's the championships the Rays have won? Did I miss something? Where's their World Series titles? Where's their dynasty run? And you're talking about a bench coach. You're not even talking about their manager. Even if you got their manager, I wouldn't even want him. You know why Kevin Cash has to manage the way that he does? Because the Rays can't afford Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. That's why they have to do what they do. And they're great at what they do. They can't afford Garrett Cole. That's why they have to go out there and piece it together year in, year out. And the guys that they did have, Blake Snell, they take them out after 5-6 innings. That's what you want? I want a real manager for once. You're going to go with another unknown? Oh, I want the Braves bench coach. That's the way the baseball's going. No. I have great respect for the Rays. That is no. Buck Showalter's a legitimate manager. What don't you see? You wouldn't have to worry about it. You don't know the first thing about Quintero. Oh, he's been a manager in the minor leagues before. Oh, yeah? Oh, great. So was Luis Rojas. It's a little bit different being a manager in the minor leagues. Oh, and by the way, a manager in New York City. Don't you think? Ross is calling from West Point. Ross?
Hey, you're the goods. Thanks for taking my call. I knew that was going to be the first call you took. Was somebody that says that an older coach is out of touch with today's base. I was screaming for Bill Cowher before the Giants went into this dumpster fire. I'm like, at least talk to the guy.
Right.
Buck Showalter has forgotten more about baseball. Like, Buck Showalter has got his stuff so together that he will miss nothing. Like, you watched him with the Yankees, and before Joe Torre showed up, Buck Showalter made that team what that team was, right? And then Joe Torre came in, and he treated the bullpen like a dumpster fire, and he went on his run, and it was great. And the Yankees won a ton but the Yankees would have not been what they were without Showalter. And for the Mets not to get this guy in a heartbeat, 66 years old, who gives a crap? Like, this guy knows baseball, and he will earn the respect of these guys if he doesn't have it already. And there couldn't be a better choice.
Agreed.
Like, there couldn't be.
There isn't. There isn't a better choice.
Right, but you're going to hear from people, oh, he's out of touch. The new managers have to be friends with the players. They need to be on the players' side.
Who's to say he can't? You know the comp that I would have, Ross, and thank you for the call, would be Tom Coughlin. And we talked about this yesterday a little bit when it came to the Giants, as far as how they have to change their thinking the way that Tom Coughlin once did. Remember, he was hard-nosed guy, rough on the players, and then all of a sudden he realized he needed to have a softer side. Well, maybe that's the case with Buck Showalter. But here's what we know. This is not opinion. This is not debatable. Buck Showalter has been a great manager his entire life. And you're right, he's forgotten more about baseball than any of these other guys will ever know. Osmus and Quintero, all due respect to them. And by the way, I think in a normal or in a different year, not a normal year, in a different circumstance, maybe a different year, those guys would be fine. 2 years ago, I could understand. When the Mets replaced Terry Collins and they went with Mickey Callaway, if you were telling me Joe Espada or Quintero, whatever, I would have been like, all right, what the hell? Osmus, fine. No. Now they're close. Now they've actually built a team up to where they can be legitimate World Series contenders, and they have a great managerial option right there in Buck Showalter, who you don't even have to worry about. Will he bring professionalism? Yes. Will he bring great knowledge of the game, an in-game tactician, be a great in-game tactician? Yes. Will he command the respect of the clubhouse? Yes. Does he have experience managing? Yes. Experience in New York? Yes. There's nothing not to like about Buck Showalter. Nothing. What, his age? How old was Coughlin when he won a couple of Super Bowls? Look at Dusty Baker and Tony La Russa, who had success in the American League this year with the Stros and the White Sox. Who would you rather have in your dugout? Now, it's not just about the manager, obviously. You need a good mix of talent. You need a manager who knows what he's doing clearly and how to get that to blend, have the team to act professional, know how to win ball games. You also need to be a little lucky. Was Joe Torre a great manager before he came to the Yankees? Clueless Joe, the famous headline. He was okay. He was a good manager, but he ended up taking that Yankee team over the top and obviously was a great manager with them with the dynasties. And you're always going to question in-game moves. We will sit here and still question Buck Showalter. And, you got questioned with that Ubaldo Jimenez move a couple years back in the postseason. I think it was against Toronto, Baltimore and Toronto, where he ended up going down with one of his best options in the bullpen. There's reason behind their moves, and you're not going to love every manager their moves throughout the course of a season. That's even the best ones, even the best in-game tacticians. But believe me, you just watch Mickey Callaway and Luis Rojas for however many years, 4 years, whatever it's been. How great will it be not to worry about it with Buck Showalter? Who would you rather have in the opposing dugout or in the dugout? Buck Showalter or whoever's going against him? You know you have an advantage there with experience, a guy who's seen it before, not a guy who's learning as we go.